and welcome. I am Excellent, and this is my channel. Today I'm going to tell you about a young man who was a YouTuber and a survivalist, and he went missing without a trace. So let's get started on this, shall we? 32-year-old Finn Creaney disappeared on March 25th, 2002, near Loch Naver in the Scottish Highlands of Scotland. Finn Creaney was a married father, and he was from the Tain area. He set out around 2:15 p.m. on Friday, March 25th, 2022 for a hike. He was dropped off near Loch Naver to start his planned walking route around the loch and south to Golspie. His hiking route took him around the area between Altnahara and Golspie. Finn was an expert outdoorsman, and he was also a survivalist. But not just that, he started a YouTube channel under the name of Wildcat Bushcraft in January of 2021 because he wanted to showcase his survival skills in the Scottish Highlands, as well as the beautiful scenery. He knew how to survive. He knew where he was. He'd been there many times. Several of his videos highlighted his ability to build emergency shelters and to survive in sub-zero temperatures. Yet, despite his survivalist experience, March 25th, 2022 was the last day that Finn was ever seen. And also, despite a large search operation, which included different policing agencies, news agencies went out there, a bunch of volunteers, they put up flyers everywhere, there was still no evidence about what happened to Finn. Had he become lost? Did he fall into a bog? And despite all the evidence that he has disappeared, none of it shows that he intentionally left his family. His wife Lucy said on February 2023, "When my 5-year-old daughter cries at night for her father, I repeat what I have told her for a long time. Daddy has gone on one of his adventures. I don't know what's happened, but I'm doing everything I can to get the answers. I love you. I love Daddy, and I miss him. Every time the phone rings, my heart leaps with the thought that it's him." Lucy believes that she will find Finn because people don't just vanish off the face of the earth. And that's her quote. People don't just vanish off the face of the earth. Or do they? Oddly, this story has some similarities to the missing YouTuber Kenny Beach, who vanished without a trace in the Sheep Mountains near Las Vegas when he was trying to find the mysterious M Cave in November of 2014. On that day that Finn took his hike, the weather was unseasonably warm for March. Finn planned to go on one of his solo adventures in the wilderness, something he had done many, many times. As an experienced and confident survivalist, he was entirely at home in nature. His intended destination was the Loch Naver area, which was about an hour's drive from where he lived in the countryside outside of Tain in the Scottish Highlands. He said goodbye to his wife, Lucy, and 4-year-old daughter, Luna, that Friday night, and Finn drove to Golspie Beach, where he parked his car around 17 miles away. He left his car there, intending to collect it at the end of the day. A family member then dropped him off at a caravan park, and this was the last definitive sighting of Finn. He left Lucy a voicemail at 12:52 p.m. on Friday, March 25th, which said, "Hey honey, I love you lots and I'm really proud of you. She was launching a business as a florist, and he promised to be home by the middle of the day on Sunday so he could deliver the Mother's Day flowers her customers had ordered. According to his wife, Finn always kept his promises, and he never arrived late. Finn's phone either lost signal or was turned off or something at 1:47 p.m. in the village of Lairg, and no messages were sent after that. The cell phone had been, we don't know, like I said, broken, stolen, missing, off. We don't know. Lucy said that she could see the messages she had sent him later in the afternoon and evening, and she could tell that they hadn't been read. And she thought that that was really strange, as she knew Finn would be using his phone to film his adventures for his YouTube channel and also for navigation. She didn't overthink it, but she thought, well, I guess he'll be okay. He always is. But on this particular trip, Finn was not. On Sunday evening, Lucy started to panic because Finn hadn't shown up by the middle of the day like he had promised to do so that he could deliver the flowers. And although it was an inconvenience for Lucy, she assumed that his hike had taken longer than he expected. But then it was 6:30 p.m., and she was really worried. She thought that his phone had died and he couldn't get in contact with anybody. But the lack of communication felt unsettling to her, that there was something wrong. It just wasn't like him. On Monday morning, Lucy rang the school where Finn worked. Finn was a bushcraft teacher to children. She called and said, "I'm Finn Creaney's wife, and this is going to sound weird, but is Finn there?" And that's when they told her he wasn't. Then went and checked the whole school. They called back and confirmed that no, he was not there. She then rang the police so she could report Finn missing. Lucy's quoted as saying, "Even then, I still felt ridiculous. I was sure I was overreacting. All but certain the police would meet him on his walk and he would laugh and say, 'Are you for real?' He's like a cat. He always lands on his feet and always comes home." But I also couldn't help thinking, what if something has happened? What if he had had an accident? What else could have gone wrong? Looking back, I think I probably went into a state of shock, unable to make sense of his absence. Finn was described as 5 feet 11 inches, slim, with a light complexion and freckles on his arms and his nose. He has long brown hair down to his lower back and a full brown beard that was short in length. He was last seen wearing a black t-shirt, a knee-length brown leather jacket, dark colored trousers, brown waterproof boots, and he was carrying a green rucksack, which we'll get back to in a little bit. He was planning to film a YouTube video, so it is presumed that he was carrying a camera or even several cameras. Police searched the area between Aldnahara and Golspie in Sutherland with the support of the Air Support Unit and many partnering agencies, including Mountain Rescue and the Coast Guard. The search lasted for 3 to 4 weeks, which in these situations is a really long time. These disappearances in nature, they're usually just a week or so, and then they're declared dead. Even after 3 to 4 weeks, there were no signs of Finn or his equipment. But then Finn's dad, Mark, went to go camp in the area where Finn was supposed to have been. He wanted to help keep up the profile of the case in the media, so people would remember that Finn was missing, but he admitted that he feared the worst. And then Finn's father, Mark, posted online that a couple of deer stalkers on their way to work at Altnahara came across Finn's rucksack at the side of Loch Naver, and after a close inspection of the rucksack and its belongings and a few other items that were not allowed to be spoken about in the press, they believed that Finn had attempted to swim the loch in order to cut his journey towards the coast. Before I make a comment about that, I would like to please ask you to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. It's completely free and you'll be notified of my content when it goes up. The idea that he left his rucksack at the side of the loch, which is a lake for those that aren't familiar with that, the fact that he would leave his rucksack and swim across the lake to get to the other side where he was supposed to film a survivalist video, but without his equipment, that makes no sense. He wouldn't leave his equipment on one side of the loch to go to the other side of the loch without his equipment to film, to do his YouTube video. So I find that confusing. There is no evidence that Finn would ever choose to go missing intentionally, and there were no signs that he was having a mental health crisis. He seemed fine to everybody. The business he had launched was starting to take off, and he had a strong relationship with his family, having been together with his wife for 9 years, and they'd gotten married in 2021. The family did everything possible to find Finn after the official search finished, including ground searching on many occasions. They had poster campaigns. They used social media, of course. They were online searching and doing research, but there was no genuine sightings apart from one by some bikers who believed that they saw Finn at about 3:45 p.m., roughly 3 miles down the road from where he was dropped off at. And they said that he seemed very cheerful. Others have come forward and reported sightings, but none of those have matched with Finn's appearance. So, how does a man who's proficient at hiking, who is a survivalist, teaches rucksacking for a living, how does he go hiking to film a survivalist video and disappear off the face of the earth? How does anybody? Please leave your comments below and tell me what you think. Are these things happening all around the world? And if we're in America, we just don't hear about them. Are there enough in other countries that they're becoming concerned as well? Thank you, and good night.